are going to be costs that have to be borne by the West in reshaping the relationship with China. There's two trends that we're seeing here. One is a China that is using a kind of incremental form of economic warfare, essentially a very mercantilist made in China 2025 policy, subsidizing its companies, providing barriers for our companies to go into China. And at the same time, it's push on 5G, which is this revolutionary new wonder technology, which frankly, I support the technology. But I do agree with those who say there needs to be a debate about its repercussions, and particularly the use of data. If these smart cities are going to be built by Huawei in France, you're walking down the street and your phone immediately is hooking up to their Wi-Fi on 5G. Is your data going to be safe? All these types of things need to be settled and discussed. And I think that, I hate to say it, it's not unusual for an American to say it, there needs to be more state oversight, more security services oversight, and not just letting the private companies decide these things for themselves.
Gilles Babinet, you agree?
Yeah, I think it's quite fair in general. We need to reset the rules, and we need to remind that the leaders in the telecom fields are European. Nokia and Ericsson are obviously European companies, and commonly they have like close to more than 50% of market share. So that's something we should be concerned of, because obviously the risk for this company to have their technology stolen by a third party is quite high. So it's also that we need to take into account. It's an opportunity to maintain our sovereignty, European sovereignty, and especially now that the networks are becoming completely wireless. Before we had, I would say, fixed technologies, and now it's mobile technologies. So the edge, and I would say the leaderships comes even more on these companies.
At the end of the day, is there a difference between Huawei having your data or U.S. Silicon Valley giants having your data, Gilles?
Yeah, there is a big difference because on one hand you have a democracy, even though it's not perfect. Maybe you have seen that recently a court in the U.S. recognized that Edward Snowden was right. So that's something that wouldn't happen in China. This guy exposed the fact that the NSA has spied illegally millions of people. So that's something which I believe has to make sense regarding the way we implement these technologies.
John Strand,
even though I'm quite critical of
John Strand, this issue of Huawei, is it about defending democracy, or is this just a commercial power play?
It's definitely not. Huawei is right now trying to sell a narrative that they are the innocent victim of a crazy American president which had a trade war with China. And that's so far from reality. This debate goes back to 2005. Obama administration, the first administrations, did sanctions regarding Huawei. France did the first sanctions in 2012 regarding core networks and stuff like that. So this is about saying who's going to build the fundament for the digital society. And I always get the question, is Huawei dangerous? I said, I don't want to take a stand on that, but I could say, what is most vital infrastructure? The fighter planes we have in the Air Force or the telecommunication infrastructure? And people always say to me, that's telecommunication infrastructure. And then I say, if it's okay to buy Chinese telecommunication infrastructure, then it should be okay if NATO was buying Chinese fighter planes. And it's so simple.